Today we make a bucket hat. I was at the bay on the weekend and saw a really cute like round top bucket hat by Herschel's and thought I can make that. So I found a free pattern online. I'm gonna link it down below. The pattern is by Lydia Naomi. So we're gonna give it a try. I am making this reversible, so one side will have this purple fabric and the other side will have this green and white fabric. They look cute together, so why not? Let's get started. The pattern that Lydia made is for 2 hats. I didn't realize this until I printed everything out, so for the sake of this project, all you really need is to print out the first 3 pattern pages. Grab your paper scissors and cut out all the pieces, then tape them in place. I prefer using a Scotch tape over clear tape, as you can write over it without your markings immediately smudging. Once you've got pattern pieces A and B all cut out and good to go, grab your first fabric. Open it up, lay it flat, then trace out your pattern. We're going to start with just the triangular piece A, transferring it onto the fabric 5 times with 1/2 inch seam allowance all around. I like to use Prismacolor pencil crayons, but chalk and pencil work too. Please, for the love of everything, do not use a pen or a marker. Those can bleed through and leave unwanted markings on the good side of your fabric, so please choose ready utensils that are dry. Cut them out. Pin them together on one side, 2 pieces at a time, then straight stitch them together until you get this. I guess there's no front and back. It's the right size for sure. I'm gonna fold up the 1/2 inch seam allowance just so we can get a better kind of look-see. The only thing that really bothers me right now is the top. As you can see, it's kind of bulky. I haven't pressed anything or trimmed any of the seam allowance, so a little bit of, bulkiness is expected, but it's kind of pointy. It's a bit too pointy for my liking, and here is a bit too squarish. If the pointiness of it, like if you think it's too high, what I would suggest you do is go down. For me, I'd say I'd go down about 1 inch, make a point there, and then kind of straighten it up. So line it up with the bottom there. It's going to continue that line on both sides, and that should be your new pattern. I am too lazy though, so I definitely won't be changing anything. This is just going to be the look that we're going with. It still looks cute. I could always, add a pom-pom or something to kind of blend it in, or add something. I feel like once we add this panel here, it won't be as noticeable. And maybe I'll add some decor. I really haven't decided on that yet. So now that we have the green cap done, it's time to do the exact same thing with the purple fabric. Was that a seamless transition? I'm gonna go ahead and press the seam allowances open, trim the seam allowance, and then on to the panels we go. To make your DIY projects look as professionally made as possible, make sure you're constantly pressing your seams open to ensure those crisp, clean lines every single time. If you're having some trouble pressing those curves and don't have a tailor's hem, no worries, just stuff the hat with some old t-shirts, then press, press, press. Once the domes are perfectly pressed, make sure to measure the final circumference of the opening, then match that to your panel pattern, as you don't want to waste any fabric by cutting out pieces that are too long. Follow the pattern piece by placing one side on the fold, then trace it. I gave it 1/2 inch seam allowance all around, then cut it out. Stitch the opening of each piece closed, then press open the seams on each panel. Pin each set of panel and dome together, then stitch them up. Again, you want to press, press, press. Once you got both of your sides done, do a little happy dance. Flip one of them inside out, then put them together. Good sides facing good sides. Straight stitch it all around, leaving a little opening so you can bag it out later. Then go in to trim and slit your seam allowances. Anytime you sew a curve, you must slit your seam allowance. This gives the fabric some wiggle room, which allows it to lay more flat when you turn your project inside out. To get a super clean edge on your panel, I like to use a pin to pull the seam out before pressing. Once you've done that, all that's left is to top stitch about 1/8 of an inch in from the edge, all the way around. So the only thing that really irks me about this hat, it's that I'm never gonna reach for it. You know, I'm never gonna go outside wearing this hat willingly, you know? It's just, the color scheme is good, it's giving Tia Tamara, but the shape of it, this kind of bulkiness up here, it's kind of giving a detective vibe, which is not my vibe. Maybe I'm just not into bucket hats. I don't own any bucket hats. This is the first one. It's gonna become a staple, display item in the house because it's you know, a DIY thing that I made. So to kind of amp it up and make it more my vibe, I'm definitely gonna use some yarn and do kind of this kind of stitching, this kind of pattern that I usually do on most of my DIYs, just to make it a little more interesting. Now I know what you're thinking. What in the world are we doing in your basement? It's gloomy, it's messy. What are we doing here, Judie? I just needed to show you my prized possession, my favorite part of the house, my hoarding ways, the only part of my hoarding that I've actually organized. You ready? Ta-da! It's honestly not that much. I used to have way more. I've just stopped buying more because my friends are you have an obsession with yarn. And no, I do not knit. I cannot knit. I've tried so many times, but it just doesn't work for me. I would love to be a crochet baby, but I just can't. I just can't. Anyways, we are here to see what color yarn would go well with this hat. Maybe we should say neutral with just some white yarn. There's this shimmery one I never use. Or maybe we go hot pink. Just all out. It seems a little dark. And oddly enough, I don't have a light pink that pops against the purple. So we're just gonna be simple with it and stick to white. Cut a string of yarn out. I recommend an arm's length. Thread it through a large eye sewing needle, tie a knot on one end, and then go ham on your decorative stitches. It's definitely cuter this way. It adds a little bit of to it, and it definitely goes well with this shirt, actually. I'm not gonna lie. After adding this, I think I actually might wear it this way. Me being I don't like it, and I'm okay. Yeah, I kind of really like it. It's super Halloween-y, I think, with the color scheme and just the stitching. It just adds another element that just brings it all together. Always, I feel when in doubt, some yarn. Just a DIY rule of thumb for me. When in doubt, add some yarn. That is all for this week. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.